How do you deal with people that are kind of asleep at the wheel or unconscious? For us that are studying non-duality or Advaita Vedanta, and we're trying to learn to be still, quiet the mind, that inner voice that's always talking and never stops, and you become aware of it, and through awareness you can quiet that voice, and through stillness and silence you can become calm. How do you deal with somebody that's just completely egoic and lost in the ego mind and they don't realize it? Because it's difficult. If you're on a journey where you're trying to reach that spot where you can quiet the mind and become aware, be in the present moment, how do you deal with somebody that's totally opposite? Because there's all levels of consciousness. But none of us has reached Bodhisattva where we're totally enlightened. And it's probably not going to happen for most of us, because what we're doing is we're trying our best that we're aware that there's a thought and there's a dialogue in our head and there's a story in our head, and that ego wants to tell it. The ego wants to be on top. The ego wants more. The ego never stops, and it makes the world an insane place. So we, through our teachings and our studies, try to calm that down, tame that monster. We're trying to be still, be quiet, think, realize thoughts come and they go, not bottle them down, let thoughts that we really don't need come and go, and simplify things to a state where we're happy, we're aware, and we're at peace, and not being driven crazy by that voice inside our head that's never going to stop, and it doesn't want you to be quiet. The ego wants everything. The ego can never have enough. It's just, the only answer ever is more. So how do you deal with somebody that is totally unconscious of the fact that they're doing that? Whether it's somebody you love, could be somebody you love that's very difficult because they're unconscious. Could be somebody you have to deal with, like somebody at work, that your boss gets such gratification of putting you down or telling you did a bad job, or letting you know that he's the boss, right? People like that are super difficult. So you can say, I'm going to avoid these people as much as I can. And maybe, yeah, there's a little bit to that. I don't like talking to people that don't hear a word I have to say. And I can just tell by the speed of their voice, how they don't catch their breath, shallow breathing. They're totally lost in the sauce. They can't hear you because they're loading up their next statement to tell you things that are coming from that egoic mind. And it does get annoying. But here's what we're going to say. Those difficult people teach great lessons, because what they do is they make you be more present. So when you deal with somebody that's being difficult, like I said, they're lost in their thoughts. Their story they're telling about their life, it's all an illusion. We call it Maya, but it's the illusion of oneself. And some people have been telling that story ever since they've been a little kid, and they're so wrapped up in it. Here's me, here's my story, and it just never ends. There's never a gap in between their thoughts and what their story is, and those people are difficult to reach. But what we're going to say is, if you can be present when you talk to them, they're going to pick up on that a little bit. And you can't determine when somebody's journey into consciousness or awareness or their spiritual development is going to take place. But if your reaction is to give a calm, centered, at peace, in the moment response, they can grow. But even though that's difficult for you, you can grow. So if you're grounded in the present moment, and you're willing to talk to people, and you look at them from that advantage. Remember, a great teacher, right? Difficult people like that are totally unconscious, and they're not aware that ego mind is running rampant. You're studying consciousness and how to become more conscious. You're trying to obtain that, and it's a struggle. Those people are good for you, because they're going to make you become aware. They're going to give you a difficult time in communicating with them, but you want to welcome those challenges. Welcome them, because they're making you more present and they're increasing your level of consciousness. So it's just a way to look at those people that maybe you've been avoiding or having negative thoughts about. They're presenting you with an opportunity to be more present. to be more aware and to be more conscious, and that's always the good thing.